The Villisca Axe Murders, one of the most horrifying and chilling crimes in American history. In the quiet town of Villisca, Iowa, in 1912, a brutal crime was committed that would leave the small town forever haunted. The Moore family, Josiah, Sarah, and their 4 children, along with 2 guests, were brutally hacked to death while they slept. But what made this crime even more terrifying was that the killer was never caught. The case remains unsolved to this day. And the disturbing part is, this may not be the whole story. In this video, we will explore not only the grisly details of the crime but also the mystery of the investigation, the suspects, and the ignored evidence. Why did the killer go free? Why were the police so ineffective in catching him? Could the truth have been buried, hidden by the very people who were meant to uncover it? The Moore family was a well-respected family in Villisca. Josiah Moore, the father, ran a local store selling farm equipment. His wife Sarah was a kind-hearted woman known for her generosity. They lived in a 2-story home on 2nd Avenue in the heart of the town. The Moore children, Herman, Mary, Arlene, and Paul, were well-liked by the townsfolk, as was their extended family. That Sunday evening, the family attended church, just like they did every week. They were joined by Ina and Lena Stillinger, 2 young girls who stayed with the Moore family that weekend. After returning from church, the Moore family and the 2 girls went to bed. The next morning, their bodies were found, hacked to death in their sleep, with their faces unrecognizable from the brutal blows of an axe. The axe used to kill them was found in the house, but no one knows exactly how the killer got inside or who they were. The investigation into the murders was a disaster from the start. The local police seemed unprepared, and the case was bungled, with many key details either ignored or overlooked. When investigators arrived at the Moore home, they were confronted by a scene of unimaginable horror. The victims were found in their beds, with severe head wounds. But the real mystery wasn't just in the brutality of the murders, but in the strange details of the crime scene. First, the axe used in the murders was found at the scene, covered in blood. But what made the crime even more disturbing was the behavior of the killer. After committing the murders, the killer stayed in the house, eating food in the kitchen. The killer also covered all the mirrors in the house with clothing or sheets, an act that's often associated with superstition or a desire to prevent the victims from seeing their deaths. Why would someone go through the trouble of covering the mirrors? There's a disturbing theory that the killer wasn't just there to kill but may have had a psychological motive. The act of covering the mirrors and eating suggests a calculated and almost ritualistic approach to the crime. This wasn't just about killing, it was about something else. Was it a need for control, or was the killer trying to hide from something in their own reflection? One of the most intriguing suspects in the Villisca case is Reverend George Kelly, a traveling preacher who had been in town around the time of the murders. Kelly was questioned several times by police. At one point, he even confessed to the crime, but his confession was strange, and he later recanted it, claiming that he had been coerced by the police. Could he have been guilty, or was he just the victim of a flawed investigation? Kelly's confession was odd in that he seemed to know specific details about the crime scene that had not been publicly released. He mentioned the position of the bodies, the bloodstains, and the state of the house, details that seemed impossible to know unless he had been there. But despite this, Kelly was never charged, and the police soon dropped the case against him. Some theorize that Kelly was an easy target, a man who was an outsider, an eccentric preacher, and someone who would be easily manipulated into a confession. Others believe that Kelly was guilty but that higher authorities wanted the case to go away quietly. There's also the possibility that Kelly was used as a scapegoat, while the real killer remained free. Another unsettling aspect of the case is the missing ladder. Investigators found a ladder near the Moore home that was likely used by the killer to climb into the house. But where did the ladder go? Why was it removed from the scene without ever being examined properly? The presence of the ladder suggests that the killer was familiar with the layout of the house. He knew that the windows were unlocked and could be used to gain access. Some believe that the ladder was not only used to enter the house but might have been a pre-planned escape route for the killer. Adding to the mystery, there were several suspicious townspeople who may have known more than they let on. Why did no one report suspicious activity the night of the murders? Was there a cover-up to protect someone from within the community? The theory that the killer was someone from Villisca is one that continues to intrigue many. Villisca was a small town, and everyone knew each other. The question remains, was there a local cover-up? Did someone with influence protect the killer? Several townspeople had suspicious alibis that were never fully questioned by the police. The fact that no one came forward with critical information suggests that the town may have been protecting a friend, family member, or acquaintance. Could the killer have been someone who was simply too close to the community to be suspected? The more we dig into the investigation, the more we uncover signs that the investigation was mishandled. The police seemed unprepared, and the case was ignored by higher authorities. Could there have been a local agenda that allowed the killer to slip through the cracks? The Villisca Axe murders remain unsolved to this day, despite numerous investigations, confessions, and theories. The town of Villisca still bears the weight of this horrifying crime, and the killer remains free, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions. Was it a local cover-up, a flawed investigation, or a sick mind that committed this unspeakable crime? This is a case that haunts those who study it. And it's a reminder that sometimes, even when everything seems so clear, the truth can still remain hidden in the shadows. What do you think happened that night? Who was the killer? And why was justice never served?